that you'll put it under there and it'll be safe. It's fragile on it, and I've had problems with this before, so you need to find me the forms. And then they go ahead and take it on, and they get so bitchy about it. It's just, yeah.
It's a cool guitar, I like it. Yeah. So we're gonna film it live right after this.
Okay.
This song.
We talking first, or?
Yeah, we'll say hi and chat a little bit, and then we'll get into a couple songs.
Sounds good. You want a Kit Kat?
What's that?
You want a Kit Kat?
I'm good.
I need some milk, Brad.
Yeah.
I got home. I took about a 35-minute nap.
Yeah. Ooh, let's see. I know I'm still recovering from traveling.
Yeah, you've been doing all that.
Yeah, it's
driving back and forth is just nuts.
I know, and I did it all by myself, so I was not doing all the driving. It's crazy how just driving will wear you out. But it was fun.
I kind of like driving by myself, though.
Yeah, it can be fun.
Headphones on and just roll.
Yeah, there's something very freeing about just getting on the road by yourself. And
certain times of the day are better.
Yeah.
Like really early in the morning when the sun's first coming up.
Yeah, I love that. And I've always liked to travel at night for some reason. Like my mom used to hate it because I would wait till like late at night, to like leave and go
after
places.
the gig. Yeah.
And she'd be like, "Why are you traveling at night?"
Well, nobody really.
Less people on the road.
Yeah, they don't understand. Well, less people on the road. You stop and go to the bathroom. You never have to wait in the line.
Yeah.
You can grab what you need. You can go.
You can go faster.
You can go faster, and you once you kind of get going and you lock in, and then I don't know. It's just
yeah.
Although I don't like driving late at night, like up in rural areas with deers and jumping out and stuff. I think we've been hit. We've been hit 3 times right here. 2 times it got the trailers that didn't really do any damage. The last time it got like the front fender of the car, but it just kind of knocked the van, but it just kind of knocked off the fiberglass part on the side. So I got lucky that I didn't get disabled.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I saw on Facebook this crazy picture. This deer jumped into the car and like his head went into the car and like inside the car, and it was a mess.
Oh no.
Oh, it was horrible. Okay, we're getting ready to go.
All right. And this is my talking one here. Okay.
Yeah, and get right in it when you talk. Get right in it when you talk.
Yeah.
You're listening to Radio Free Nashville. I'm your host, Angela Easley. You're listening to the Rock and Blues Roots Review. 107.1 FM, Bellevue, Franklin, parts of Brentwood and Fairview. 103.7 FM, downtown Nashville. WRFM, LP, Pasco, Tennessee. That was J.L. Folks, Who I Am. Before that was Angela Easley, featuring the McCreary Sisters, I Can Let Go. Before that, Heidi burst in the story, and we started that section off with our guest, Stacy Mitchhart, Blue Collar. Happy Tuesday, everybody. The weather has dropped, and winter is, I think, officially here, even though we may not be into it, but it's cold enough, so happy winter, everybody, and we hope you're staying warm. And hello, Stacy. We got Stacy Mitchhart in the studio this evening.
What's going on? How you doing?
Thanks for coming out. You are fresh off the plane from New York, right?
New York City.
New York City.
Get a rope. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the country come to town. That's what I always say when I go places, because I grew up in Mississippi, so I'm gonna always be a country girl no matter what. So,
you know it.
But it's all good. But I love to travel. So how was New York?
It was cool. A good friend of mine, a guy that actually used to work at Bourbon Street, has a club that he put together up in Albany, New York.
Oh, cool.
And so he flew me up for that, and I had a bass player and a drummer back me up, and they did their homework and all my stuff. So I did that, I think, the year before too. So that was awesome. Cool. And then I wanted to go down to the city for a couple of days. I hadn't been there for a while, New York City. And we contacted a place, and so I did a show there. It was a solo show.
Yeah. Real
intimate. I mean, the room was maybe twice the size of the studio.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger than that, but it was really, really cool. It was laid back, and it was nice to be able to do that. And some of the folks that followed me from New York City were able actually to come out to a show didn't have to travel all the way to Nashville.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of playing in Nashville, you do play here all the time. They say you're the king of Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar. You've been playing there for a long time and on a regular basis. How long have you been playing it?
23 years, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Do you still remember your very first show there? Do you remember that show?
Yeah, a little bit. It was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And the way that it all came down was I went down, I was based out of Cincinnati, my hometown.
Yeah.
And we were doing like 2-3 hour radios, Louisville, Indianapolis, Columbus, stuff like that. And I just wanted to add another city. And a friend of mine lived down here. And so I came down to visit, and Bourbon Street wasn't open yet, but it was getting ready to. And so there was like some ads about it. So I came back a few months later, sat in, talked to Malcolm, and he was like, yeah, we got to get you in, you know, and I did a good job, and I left a couple CDs, and then Mark, the other guy, was like, yeah, we got to get you in. And so I kept calling and calling. It's like probably 30 phone calls, you know, talking to Debbie, you know how it is.
Yeah.
And nobody would ever do anything. And so I came back down, and finally I was at my wit's end. I'm like, man, I ain't gonna mess with these people anymore. I called a lady, Debbie, at the time, and I said, Debbie, where you at? She says, well, I'm at work. And I said, you getting ready to go to lunch? She said, yeah. I said, well, look, I'm going to go to the club. And I said, meet me at the club. I've got my calendar with me. I said, we've been playing phone tag and going back and forth for the last month. I said, if we don't do it today, forget it. I'm not even going to worry. And so she shows up, and I was sitting at the bar, and she showed up, and I just had my calendar laid out. Yeah. And I said, hey, how you doing? What are we going to do? You know? And so she booked me a couple of Tuesdays, and my first Tuesday down here, I think I sold 24 CDs and made good tips.
That's awesome.
And I don't even think I sold 24 CDs at my CD release party in Cincinnati.
That's awesome.
And so then they called me back to do like a, what was it? What's the March, St. Patrick's Day, I guess it was, or something like that. They called me back to do that. I made that work, and then they said, you know, it's too bad you don't live here because we're looking to change our band. We would love to have you. And I said, make me an offer. Yeah. And they did. And like I said, I didn't really understand what was going on down here, but I just had a feeling something good was going to come out of it. Yeah. I told my daddy when I left, I said, you know, I may be back in 3 months. I don't know, you know. And that's 23 years ago. Yeah. So it's worked out really, really well.
Absolutely. And they say, I read in your bio, and it's been published, that you're the show to come see in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's pretty awesome.
That's about as good a compliment as you can get, considering all the shows and the incredible musicians here. But, you know, my goal has always been to entertain people, because if all they wanted to do was hear the music, they could put the CD on, they could listen to the radio, whatever. You got to give them. You have to give them something personal, a reason to come out and stick around, and that's always been my goal. I guess I was enough of a ham coming out that I could pull that off. So. Yeah,
well, that's awesome. 23 years at Bourbon Street, and we do a lot of shows before you. Sometimes there at Bourbon Street on Saturday, the 7 o'clock show, because we do a lot of 7 o'clock shows. Yeah, and that's always awesome and always an honor. And I'm getting ready to start my 3rd year for 2020. At Bourbon Street, so I'm super excited about that. But I love playing there. Speaking of that, this weekend, November 16th, Saturday, I'll be there, Angela Easley Band, at 7 o'clock. Come on out and see us. And you're there all this week. What are your dates this week? Come out and see Stacy Mitchhart.
I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday. I'm doing Friday too. Yeah. So we're not on the same night this time. Yeah. And then Sunday,
I'll
of course.
You.
Yeah. I may pop in since I'm in town. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a great show. My mom's going to be in town. This is the first time she's going to see my show at Bourbon Street. So she's coming in town, and since I've been playing there, so she's coming from Mississippi, so it'll be awesome to have her in the audience. I've missed having her. But are you ready to get into singing a little bit and playing a song for us?
Why not?
All righty. You're listening to Radio Free Nashville, everybody, WRFM, and this is Stacy Mitchhart.
Okay, let's see. You tell me if we're about right here. There we go, we'll put it up there. This song was the first single from my last recording. My most recent was put out by a label based in London, England. rate recordings in conjunction with my label, Dr. Sam. And the song's called Late at Night. So here we go. 3:42 a.m. Sitting in this big old chair. All my lights are off. One candle flickering over there. The silence of the room exploding in my head. I could never sleep right now, so I stay right here instead. And I'm asking my hard question, telling myself answers that I want to hear. And everything gets just a little bit clearer. I said late at night. I said late at night. I pour myself a shot of Grand Marnier from a bottle that stares into my soul. I'm starting to see things much clearer now. It didn't take her to make me whole. I start to wrap my brain around it. It was what she did, not what I said. I realize now I can never forgive her for climbing into that other man's bed. Ain't it funny how the darkness always seems to shed the most light, and everything gets just a little bit clearer, yeah. Say late at night. I said late at night. Asking my hard question, telling myself answers that I really need to hear. And everything gets just a little bit clearer, yeah. I said late at night. I said late at night. I said late at night, seeing things much clearer. Late at night, yeah. Yeah. Late at night.
Yeah, that's Stacy Mitchhart, everybody. Awesome. So cool. Nice guitar work. Man, that sounds great. And that little guitar does sound amazing.
Yes, I'm playing my Furch guitar, Furch,
Yeah.
F-U-R-C-H.
Yeah.
And it's a traveling guitar that literally folds up into a backpack. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
I use it when I travel overseas, when I fly anywhere. It works out great.
Yeah. Nice song. So that's going to be on the new album you were telling us?
No, that was on the last album.
The last album,
Yeah,
okay.
which the last album was, I released it both on CD and vinyl.
Oh, very
so
cool.
it was my first vinyl release. And,
That's awesome.
I love having the vinyl. It's a lot of fun. It takes a lot longer to get it manufactured.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
3 and 4 months out, and you're just like, oh man, you know,
Yeah.
it takes forever. But it was really worth it, and a lot of people are buying vinyl.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming back around for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your history and your musical influences.
Okay.
Who were your influences when you started listening and started playing music?
Boxcar Willie and Slim Whitman, they were my no, I'm just kidding.
Let's go way back.
Anything that was on KTEL Records, you know, I was like, you know. But no, the first guitarist that ever remember hearing records of was Wes Montgomery, jazz guitar. My dad had Wes Montgomery records, and then the people that the guys I ended up playing music with as a kid, their parents, they were listening to, you know, Marvin Gaye and War and Sly and the Family Stone, and then their father was a preacher, so we were doing Edwin Hawkins, and you know, the two things we had to learn: Thriller's Gone for his mother, and we had to learn "Oh Happy Days" for his father. You know, and it was great, and we were there. We were his band in church, and basically all he played guitar while he preached. And so
awesome.
it was like a congregation of like 45 people, you know, a little storefront church, and you know, we were the band, so he basically played blues and sang, you know, over top of it, sang gospel over top, and he did blues like the old, you know, John Lee Hooker or Sun House, where they change whenever they want to, and you're not really sure what's coming, and so that's kind of what, you know, taught me how to just really follow somebody and how to try to anticipate what they're doing and watch what they're doing, and it was really helpful. I think it was super helpful, me learning, because for him it wasn't about, he probably knew 4 chords, you know, but man, the rhythm that he did and the feel that he got, and so even though I started learning with, you know, teachers at music stores, I learned as much, if not more, you know, about actually playing music from him. Yeah.
Well, that is so true about, you know, blues and gospel. They go hand in hand,
you
know, back into the root of music. And I write that way as well on piano, because, like, I write to my vocal line. So there's a couple of my songs where it's like that, like the phrasing and the meter and the time signatures, not your normal standard, you know, like boxes. So it's that more old style gospel / blues playing off the vocal line. But there's so much emotion in that when you do it that way, you know, and feeling in it.
Yeah, I like that. And you know, for me, when I'm writing, it seems like if I pick a different instrument to try to start writing the song from, it allows me to kind of write a different vibe. You know,
is
a
very
different feel.
true.
You know, now I can't really play piano at all, but you know, sometimes I can pick some parts out. But you know, sometimes I'll just start with a drum beat, and other times I'll just start with a bass line. And other times I'll just literally start vocally and then try to find the chords after the fact. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So. Now I saw a picture of you standing in the alley of Bourbon, a Printer's Alley in front of Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar, and it looked like you were playing a cigar box guitar. Do you play cigar box guitar?
Yeah, a lot of. I've kind of gotten known for that a little bit.
Yeah, I thought so. So we were talking about, I just got my first cigar box guitar, and Rob's cigar box guitar in Destin, Florida made it for me, and I love playing it. I have a 3-string, and I play it in open G, and I wrote a song called Back in Mississippi. So if you come to the show, maybe you'll get to hear that one this weekend. But yeah, I love playing it. So when did you start playing cigar box guitar?
Man, I can't remember. Oh no, I know how it happened. I went over to Fanny's Music over in East Nashville, and I was looking for stuff, and I bought a couple of old Gibson amplifiers, which I still use every time I go to the studio. It's like a 1962 Gibson. It has no tone controls. It's just on. You know, and it's just loudness, tremolo, and reverberation, and on. It has 4 button knobs. You know, and the thing sounds phenomenal. And I still use that every time I go to the studio. But I was there, and she had one of the little cigar box guitars, I guess, that Johnny Can't Read did. You know, the little dude around here. And so I think I bought it for $50 or something like that. And I started messing with it, and then I put a pickup in it, and I was doing it. I was down in a festival in Daytona Beach, and I was doing a blues festival there, and I used it on one song. And there was a guy there named Bruce, and I can't remember. Bruce starts with a G, the last name. Great guy, but he's talking to me. He says, "Yeah, man, I built them," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Well, you need to check it out." And I'm like, "Okay, where are you at?" Well, we were staying at the same hotel, like 5 doors from each other. And he was like, "Well, come over tomorrow morning and check them out." And so I went over, and we had Bloody Marys, and and I played about four or five of them, and I picked the one I wanted. And he goes, just go on and take it. And I'm like, no, let me pay you. You know, he goes, no, go on and take it.
So
and it's
sweet.
so cool because it has a cat water bowl flipped upside down into the body of it. And then the bridge is right on that, and so it's metal. So it's got very much of a banjo-y kind of a sound. And it sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sounds great. And so I wrote a song called Cat Bowl Blues, and I've used it on a number of my recordings, and it's become I took it to England, and the Delta. Anyway, when I opened it up, it was in like 4 pieces.
Oh my gosh.
And I put it back together and got some glue and some tape, and I even put my luggage tags on it and stuff, you know, and got it to work again and used it over there. And then when I came home, I actually, you know, put glue on it with clamps and fix it up a little bit, and so it's great. I mean, things held up, you know. And I asked him to make me another one, a backup, and he did. But it just wasn't the same. That's the thing about the cigar bar. It's like you can make 2 of them, but for some reason they're not the same. You know, for whatever reason.
Unique.
So I started making them too.
Oh, awesome.
But really simple ones. You know, 3 strings, no frets, nothing like that. But the reason I made them was to when I do a fundraiser, like we would do. The first one I used it for was a March of Dimes fundraiser in Chattanooga.
Oh yeah.
And it was their big black tie affair to raise a lot of money. And so I took 2 of them down there that I made. And I played one of them on the show, and then I donated both of them to them. And one of them brought like $700, and the other one brought like $600.
Oh,
so I was able to make a contribution to that,
Yep.
and it didn't cost me anything but a few hours and a few dollars. And so I've kind of used it for that, you know. And
awesome.
I moved, and so I didn't get set up. So I got to get set up again, you know, to make them. And now that I have this fold-up guitar. On the way home from New York today, I was like, I wonder if I could make a fold-up cigar bar. So that's my next one. I'm going to use the basic idea of this, and I'm going to make it work. So.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. That'll be a great seller, too.
Yeah.
Take it to NAM.
Yeah, I don't have time to be a builder, man. Yeah.
But speaking of, are you ready to get into a little bit more music?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Radio Free Nashville. The Rock and Blues Roots Review. I'm your host, Angela Easley. This is Stacy Mitchhart.
All right, this is a song. I've never ever performed this live or anywhere. I wrote it. It's coming off the new record, so let's hope I don't mess it up too much. So I hope we got time for this. Kind of a soul, southern soul blues thing. Ago, where that would lead, how could we ever know? We talked and we laughed, I wish the night would never end. You really did something to me, I couldn't wait to see you again. One night as I walked into my favorite place, I saw you sitting there, tears rolling down your face. As I comforted you, girl, and I held you tight, you told me all the things he does and how he doesn't treat you right. I said, you and I both needed someone that understands. We couldn't help but fall in love. I don't ever want it to end. How could something so wrong feel so right? Made me feel so good, holding you so tight. Our friends and our families, they would never understand, 'cause you're somebody's woman and I'm somebody else's man. How could something so wrong feel so right? How could something so wrong feel so right? I can't keep this a secret, I want everyone to know. When they all find out how the tears are gonna flow, I said the hurt and the trials, they were both gonna have to go through. All I know is that I don't wanna live my life without you. so tight. Well, our friends and our families, they can never understand. 'Cause you're somebody's woman and I'm somebody else's man. I got something so wrong, oh, feels so right. Make it feel so good, holding you so tight. Our friends and our families, they can never understand. 'Cause you're somebody's woman and I'm somebody else's man. I got something so wrong, feels so right. How can something so wrong, yeah, feels so right. How can something so wrong, the natural fade out, feels so right.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's.
I like that one, Stacy. That's
Thank
Stacy
you.
Mitchhart, everybody. Nice groove and soulful. Yeah, I can definitely hear the jazz influences in your guitar playing. I love it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, we'll talk about the new record on the next
Yeah.
segment. 'Cause I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about that. You've been listening to Radio Free Nashville. My guest tonight is Stacy Mitchhart. We'll be back more with Stacy in just a minute. Stick around. Awesome. Okay, so what should I play off what CD next?
Let's see what I got over there.
Okay.